That sentence damaged me for years. If someone loves me, then why would they say something like that? This guy grabs my foot and he pulls me down from the stairs. I've been wanting to share this for such a long time and it's finally here. Hi you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is actually after I filmed the video. I just want to say that I really appreciate you clicking on this video and actually hearing my story with being in a really toxic, abusive relationship. Please know that I am in a much better place in my life, but I know that a lot of you are currently in this situation, or even if you listen to this, it can help you one day avoid getting into a toxic relationship by seeing the red flags and seeing what I had to go through and knowing that your worth should not depend on somebody else. I love you all so much, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into the video. So this was around the end of my 8th grade year. My parents had been going through a divorce, and I'm pretty sure I shared this on my channel before. So like during that time, you guys, I was really having like a hard time coming to terms with my parents separating. And that's when I met this guy. I really liked him, and I remember feeling like when I was with him that my anxiety was not there, that my depression, like I just forgot all about it, and I loved being around him, and we would just joke around, and it was just like so pure and really sweet, and I absolutely loved it. We actually talked for maybe like 2-3 months, and then we started dating. During like the 5 months into our relationship was when I actually met his parents, and to me, being like 13, this was a really big deal. Like you're 13, like what are you doing? I have never met anybody else's parents, and at that point nobody had ever met my parents. So I quickly became really cool with his family. His family is so sweet. I loved them. They were always really nice to me. I feel like that also was kind of like something that made me feel really happy at that time, was that I was getting along with family. Like I was just getting along with people in general. I felt like we were both kind of like, okay, like we're in it, we're gonna date, and like that's that. If we're gonna date, you shouldn't be talking and flirting with girls, and I shouldn't be talking and flirting with guys. I started realizing that he was talking to like this one specific girl. Like there was always like a lot of like girls that would try to talk to him, but there was this one female that he would constantly talk to. This girl, they had history, and I was just like, I felt really uneasy about the situation. Since I was like completely devoted to this guy, I felt like that should have been reciprocated. This is where I started realizing this like manipulative personality. I like confronted him about it. I was like, hey, like I think it's really disrespectful that like the way that you guys are talking to each other, and it makes me even more uncomfortable that I tell you not to talk to her and you get defensive, like you feel entitled or like you have the right to be talking to her regardless of how I feel. He would basically make it seem like I was the issue. He's like, oh, well, I think it's like because of what you're going through that you feel so like insecure. He would make it feel like because of my hurt with like my parents' divorce and stuff like that, that it was like just me overreacting. I was like, no, like this is not where I'm coming from. Like I just simply feel like if you just stop talking to this girl, we're good, you know? I feel like when it hit me that I was like in a really toxic situation with verbal, it was one day we were arguing about something and it would escalate. Like I would confront him about him talking to a female, and it would turn into you're insecure and something like super hurtful. And what he said one day was, that's why your dad doesn't love you. That sentence damaged me for years. That's the first time that I felt hate towards him, because all the other times I just had so much like weird compassion for him, and you know, he had opened up about things that he himself had gone through, and I just felt compassion. Like I never felt like you're wrong for what you're doing. It's like justified based on what you've gone through. Because he would say like, yeah, like I don't want to open up about what he said actually, but he would say things that has happened to him, and then I would be like, you know what, I can understand why you are the way you are, but that doesn't mean deal with this person. That doesn't mean stick through their toxic traits. Like absolutely not. The thing is, when they say something really hurtful to you, they try to justify and say, I'm sorry, like I'm really sorry, like I was just mad, I don't mean it, like I don't know where that came from, but trust me, I love you. And like they they like do the most to basically talk you out of what they said. Like they'll say something super hurtful and then they'll regret it. And that carried on to the physical abuse. I don't remember when was the first time he actually laid hands on me, but it started really small. It started with actually him, this is gonna sound so weird, I know it is, but it started with him pinching me. And it was like the weirdest thing to me, because I remember one day we were in a car and we were talking, and I think I shared my opinion on something. Like I said something and I guess he didn't like it, and like he pinched me. When he pinched me, I was like, dude, like why would you do that? Like that hurt, right? And I told him like, don't do that. Like that was just so weird to me that he pinched me. And it was like that little thing, but it was like him controlling me with abuse. Like, you don't like something, you know, do something to hurt the person physically for them to not act out and for them to not say something. And then it started when we would argue with him, like if I wanted to leave, you know, his room, and I didn't want to be in the same house as him, I would like want to like get up and leave. He would like hold me down and say like, no, you can't go. Like, I'm not done talking to you. We need to talk this out. But like, we would never actually talk it out. Like, it would always end up backfiring on me. I was always the issue. So like, it was just more so of him like having control over me. It was also involved with the verbal abuse of him saying, if you leave, I'm gonna hurt myself. If you leave, I'll cut myself. I'll kill myself. When you think you love this person, you take those words and you make them your own. If they're happy, you're happy. If they're sad, you're sad. It is so toxic, which is why I'm telling you guys, don't depend on a human to make you happy, because humans change. This person is not always going to be happy. This person's not always going to feel like dealing with you or dealing with themselves or understand what they want out of life. So to depend on something that's always changing, it's like you're asking to be let down. I had actually been isolating myself like crazy around this time, because you become super manipulated into believing that if you just don't share this with anybody, it's better, because if you do share it with someone and then you end up coming back to them, you're gonna look really dumb, or you just don't want your family or your friends to have that image about this person. But it was a mixture of both. But also something that happened was like my best friend at the time was literally trying to speak life into me and telling me like, Jess, I don't like this guy for you. I can see what he's doing. And she didn't like him. And you know what was even crazier is that he didn't like her either. And he had really no reason other than she was trying to knock sense into me. But he would say like, no, I just feel like, you know, she's just annoying, and like she doesn't, you know, like she's just annoying. Like that was his biggest excuse. And the person that you're dating realizes that they are people trying to speak life into you, whether that's your family or your friends, they don't like that. So they're gonna say things like, they just don't know what's best for you. They just don't understand our relationship. This is just something that we need to deal through. Like completely exclude and leave you isolated from all help. In the Bible, it tells us that there is safety in the multitude of counselors. And that's very true. And that's something that I know now. At the time, I was like, you know, he's right. Like we just had to deal through this ourselves. And I don't want my family to hate him for something that's temporary or whatever it may be. But the people around you love you. So if you are in a toxic relationship, please don't distance yourself and find a family friend, a church mentor, somebody that's gonna knock sense into you and guide you and help you sort out what's happening in your life. Because all of this seems just really difficult to do on your own, because it really is. We're not meant to carry these burdens by ourselves. I know you won't regret it. Just please seek help. If you do know somebody that is in an abusive relationship, do your best to not give up on them. Pray for them and cover them, you know, with safety and prayer, because they need it, and I know they'll appreciate it. So the relationship kept getting really bad. Nothing was improving at all. This is how toxic things can get, and I'm gonna show you this one scenario that's like the perfect example. One day, my phone, I had like this really like old phone, you know, like the ones that your parents buy you because, you know, you're young or whatever, so you can't afford your own phone. So I had like a cheapish phone that was already like breaking and actually stopped working on me. So when I was in school, I was in the last period, and there was this guy that sat behind me, and he was like, just like whatever, like I only talked to him in that class occasionally, and he was behind me. He was like, dude, like look, I just found this iPod. And he was like, I was in gym and somebody just left it in the locker room, so I took it. And I was like, so you basically stole it? And he's like, well, I didn't steal it. it was nobody's or whatever. I really wanted the iPod because I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't talk to my boyfriend at the time. And I thought if I can get this iPod, I'll have something to talk to him with. And that was like literally my only attempt of getting this iPod. That's the reason why I wanted it. It was so I could have a phone to talk to my boyfriend. He knew who my boyfriend was, and I was like, please let me get the phone. I really want to like be able to talk to him. I'll give it back to you in like 5 days or like whatever. He was just like, I guess, like whatever, right? Like he expected to get it back, and I was like, cool, I'll give it back to you. I just need it until I get my phone fixed. So that same day, we get out of school and I see my boyfriend, and I was like, look, like I got an iPod from this dude. Like he found it in the locker room, and I like convinced him to let me keep it for like only a week, but I'll have something to talk to you with. And I was like super excited about it because I had an iPod, and at that time like iPods were like the big thing, you know. So then my boyfriend was like, wait, who'd you get it from? And I told him, and he was like, oh, okay. Like he didn't make a big deal at all. Like he was just like, oh, okay. He said, well, like you snapped, like you just got an iPod. And I was like, yeah. So we get to his house, and I was just trying to reset the iPod so that it wouldn't have like any pictures or anything like that. I was a freshman, okay, don't judge me. I was just trying to finesse an iPod, okay. So as I was trying to do that, I used his phone, and I remember that I saw him texting, or he had just got like a Snapchat from this girl, like the same girl that I'm talking about from the beginning. And I was like, bro. And honestly, like this girl did not care that I was dating him. Like she had no like shame in talking to him either, and she like had a boyfriend at the time. And I would tell him that like she has a boyfriend, why are you guys talking? I don't understand. I like completely start like telling him like, I'm done with you. I just did the most to be able to talk to you, and then you're gonna use your alone time that I don't have a phone to be talking to this chick. Like I'm not about to do this. Like at that point I was so over it, and I grabbed my iPod. He takes it from me, and he's like, oh, mind you, he flips it on me. Oh, so you're tripping about me, but you're over here talking to guys and getting free stuff from them. And I'm like, what? Like I literally got this to talk to you. So then he goes on to say that I'm the one that's cheating, I'm the one that has ill intentions, that I'm the one that's backstabbing him, and proceeds to grab the clean new iPod and throw it across the room and completely shattered it, broke it. He picked it up again, threw it. It was like the iPod was completely shattered. At this point, I like attempt to leave the room. I just go upstairs. I'm so mad. And I'm pretty sure this was the day that this happened. There were so many arguments, but I'm pretty sure this was like one of the most heated ones. I like try to go upstairs, and I'm probably like 6 steps up, and this guy grabs my foot and he pulls me down from the stairs, and I ended up falling and hitting my head super hard. And I'm on the floor. I like couldn't understand what was happening. That's how hard I hit my head. Like I just felt like everything went quiet, and like it hurt so bad. And what he was doing was like, stop acting like that was a bad thing, like stop acting like it hurt that much. Like he was saying that I'm overreacting of how I'm acting after he threw me to the floor from the stairs. And I didn't want to like make the situation even worse, so I tried standing up and like pretending like it's not hurting, but I couldn't even understand what was happening. Like I was in legit pain, and I just tell him like in a kind voice, I just don't want to be here, just let me process this. I don't want to yell, I don't want to do anything, I just want to go. He's just like, okay, but it wasn't a big deal, like stop acting like that hurt you. And so manipulative. I was so scared. I just wanted to get out of there. And I ended up going upstairs, and I left his house. Our houses were not close to each other, by the way. I was maybe like 15-20 minutes into my walk, almost getting home, and he caught up to me. And he was a completely changed person. He was super emotional, super sympathetic, super like caring. He's like, I'm so sorry, I'm not down for this anymore. Like you are so toxic, I don't want to go through this anymore. And he ends up grabbing the iPod and throws it on the street again. And that was one of our really big intense moments of like realizing that it was so toxic. At that point, I was just tired of being hit and tired of feeling so small and like powerless, and I became toxic as well. And I would start throwing hands back and like scratching him and hitting him. So I'm not at all like innocent, but that just shows that like, why do you have to act the same way that that person is acting towards you? Sorry, I had a timer. I hated the fact that I had to be aggressive just like he was being aggressive, and that was towards the end, like literally the last few months of our relationship, that I finally had broken and was so over being hurt. At this time I was smoking weed all the time, and I was taking Xanax as well, which are prescribed to people with depression and anxiety. It wasn't helping at all. I was still so depressed. It was just making me suppress my feelings and really go numb to it. I would forget about the problems while I was on the Xanax, and once it was off, I had to take it again in order to escape my reality, because I hated my reality so much. And although that's what doctors prescribed, or that's what people in the streets tell you to do, it's just like, it's not fulfilling, you know? One day I got home, and it was like a constant thing of me coming home, bawling my eyes out, crying until I fell asleep. And that day when I got home, I was crying so bad and I couldn't hold it, and I just felt so sick and tired of my life. I didn't believe in God, by the way, around this time at all, because I was in the New Age, and I shared my testimony about that before. For me to even say God, I didn't know who I was talking to, but I needed to get out of this relationship. And I said, if you're real, you have one chance to prove to yourself to me that you love me, because I don't understand why every person in my life just seems to come in my life, make me happy for a while, and leave me and hurt me and leave me worse than they came in. The way that I talked to God that day is just crazy to me. I told him that I hated him, and I said, in cursing to him, I said, I effing hate you. I don't know why you hate me so much. I don't know what I ever did to you to make you bring people in my life to hurt me. I was basically blaming him for everything, and I was saying, if you exist, you have one chance to prove to me that you're real, and that way is by changing him or by completely removing him from my life. When I said change him, I really meant change him. Like, I wanted him to change him. That's what I thought would work best. I said that prayer with all of my heart, and I said, look, I'm gonna humble myself and say, I'm sorry for cursing at you, but make this happen. I'm just so tired of being in this situation. I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life. Once I finished praying that, I didn't think anything of it, honestly. I just had, for the first time, seeked out to God for help, because I had done it with drugs, I had done it with other people, with humans, and humans change, they fall short, we all do. But I was like, if you're God, you won't fall short. You'll have to pull through, because you're God. So he did. Literally the next week, me and him got in really big trouble with the cops, with police, because we were just reckless, and our parents didn't want us hanging out. Like, finally our parents were like, no, you're not allowed to come to our house. He's not allowed to come to our house. You guys need to stop. You guys are out of control. So our parents agreed for like at least a couple weeks to not allow us to hang out for a bit. And I remember thinking, like, is this part of God's plan of like making us finally like break up or something? And 2 more weeks go by, so that was a whole month. And out of nowhere, I get a text from him that said, hey, this relationship is so toxic. I don't want to be in it anymore. I just want to break up. When I got that text, I remember thinking, no way. Like, after everything that you've done, you're breaking up with me. Like, I felt like it was the biggest slap in the face around that time. Like, I was like, I could not understand how that even happened. The Lord revealed to me that the reason why he made him break up with me was because I would have been really, really naive and weak. And after like 3 months, let's say I was the one that had broken up with him. After 3 months, once I'm feeling normal and better and I'm not in my right mind again, I would have said, hey, let's give it a go again. Let's give it a try. And we would have ended up dating. But him breaking up with me, that wasn't an option, because he was saying no more. Like, I'm done. Like, I want to be single now. I want to do my thing. So there was no me hitting him up and saying, okay, let's give it a go. Like, he didn't want to date anymore. And God used that for my benefit. So me and him just completely stopped talking. It was the weirdest thing ever. You guys, this was completely God, because the way we were always super dependent. So for us to just go from like dating for 2 years to now like strangers, it was the craziest thing ever. Around this time, I met this woman, and she actually became my mentor later on. So the woman that I met shared with me that she had a daughter who was in an abusive relationship with a guy, and they had actually taken a break from dating. When they took that break, he had hit her up during like New Year's and said, can you just get in the car, I just want to talk to you. And her daughter went and talked to him, and he was completely drunk. He ended up running into a tree and she was killed. And he didn't really like take accountability for what had happened. But you guys, what hit me the most was that her daughter's name was Jessica. She did not know that I had been in an abusive relationship. And when she said this to me, I remember I got home and I started crying so bad. I'm gonna start crying right now. I was gonna like cut out the fact that I'm crying right now, but I feel like it's just realistic. I'm not assuming that the guy I was dating was gonna kill me, but honestly, like, it could have led there without him having that intention. It could have led there based on the anger he was feeling in a certain situation or something, you know. And when she said that, and she said that her daughter's name was Jessica, and I had prayed to get out of that relationship, like, it was just so many things that God was putting together to let me know that he loved me and he was doing this to protect me, and that I was special to him, and that he was there with me as long as I let him there in my life. Because if you keep pushing God away, like, he's not part of that relationship, how do you want him to be part of something that you're not including him in, you know? I did get to a point where I knew that I had to forgive him for abusing me, because the woman that shared the story with me was so amazing, and she actually forgave the man who killed her daughter. And I remember thinking, that's powerful. God can help you do that. Because here's the thing, we think that us not forgiving the people that have abused us and hurt us is like our way of holding them accountable for what they've done. But the thing is, we need to forgive them for us, you guys. We deserve to live freely from that, because when you don't forgive somebody, you're really only hurting yourself. The thing is, they might not notice how much it's hurting you, and they'll move on with their life or whatever it may be, and that means you won't receive an apology. And we need to learn to forgive people without them giving you an apology. You need to forgive them because you want to forgive them, and you understand what that forgiveness is going to do for you. Once I started realizing all of these things, I didn't know how to give my life over to God, because it wasn't like me. I never believed in him. Like, honestly, like, I never actually knew his character. So knowing that he cared enough to take all of my hurt away, that I could trust him, that he would deliver me and restore me completely, was something so foreign. I never knew that he could do that. He will work with you exactly where you are, because he loves you and you are so special to him. I swear, I was struggling so much to stop with the dependency on Xanax and smoking weed, and he was basically saying, when you're ready, I'm ready. Because it was me that was still saying, no, 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 like, I still want to use this, no, 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 like, I still want to hold on to all this toxic traits, you know. But he completely delivered me from that. He's worthy of doing that. I started doing my best to surround myself with people that loved me. My mentor at the time, such a huge help. I love her so much. I started involving my family in things that were happening while this relationship happened. I started opening up to them, like, you guys, I don't think you noticed, but this is what happened. I'm just open to them at this point, and it was something that I wish I would have done before I even got in this relationship. Like I mentioned, during this relationship would have been amazing, but it just sadly happened after. But it's still something that has helped me so much. But the biggest help is Jesus. He delivered me completely, gave me the strength to forgive him. He wanted me to share this with you so you can have hope and know that he's here for you. He wanted you to hear this, and that he loves you. I really hope that me sharing this has helped you. Feel free to follow me on Instagram and reach out to me if this helped you in any way. I would love to hear feedback, because I've been wanting to share this for such a long time, and it's finally here. I finally get to share it with you all. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
I'm no longer a slave to fear, but I am a child.